Before you listen any further, pause for a moment. Think about how much of your life depends on things arriving fast, easy, and ready. Food that needs no effort, comfort that asks for nothing, answers that come instantly. Now, imagine a time when none of that existed. A time when survival depended on knowing what to do with what was already under your feet. For medieval people, an acorn was not trash. It was a test of patience, a test of discipline, a test of whether someone could turn bitterness into strength. Most people today would taste a raw acorn once and throw it away. Medieval people tasted bitterness and said this can be transformed. And that single difference in thinking shaped how they handled hunger, hardship, fear, and waiting. What you are about to hear is not a history lesson. It is a lesson about endurance, about why slow effort builds stronger people than easy comfort ever could. Because when you understand what really happens when you roast acorns the medieval way, you begin to understand how people survived without modern systems, why they were mentally tougher, and what we quietly lost when everything became convenient. Stay with me. This may change how you look at effort, patience, and the meaning of real strength. Bitterness does not mean something is useless. An acorn in its raw state tastes bitter and harsh. If someone today tried it once, they would throw it away and say it is bad or broken. Medieval people did not think this way. They understood that bitterness was not a flaw, it was a message. It meant the acorn was not ready yet. It needed time, care, and effort before it could become food. They learned early that many useful things in life do not arrive in a pleasant form. Some things are rough at the beginning. Some things are hard to accept at first. That does not mean they have no value. It means they are unfinished. Just like an acorn, they need to be worked with before they can give anything back. When medieval people roasted acorns, they did not complain about the bitterness. They expected it. They knew the bitterness would leave only after patience and proper care. This taught them a quiet lesson. Not everything good feels good at the start. Some of the most important things begin as discomfort. Life works the same way. Growth often feels uncomfortable. Learning can feel frustrating. Change can feel heavy. Even building strength or character can feel painful in the beginning. Many people quit too early because they mistake bitterness for failure. Medieval people did not make this mistake. They knew bitterness was part of the process, not the end of it. Roasting acorns teaches you to stop rejecting things too quickly. It trains you to look deeper before deciding something has no value. What feels unpleasant today may become nourishing tomorrow if you are willing to stay with it. The bitterness is not there to harm you. It is there to shape you. This lesson also teaches respect for transformation. The acorn does not change on its own. Someone must take responsibility for it. Someone must soak it, dry it, and roast it with care. In the same way, life does not improve by accident. Strength does not appear without effort. Wisdom does not grow without patience. Medieval people learned to trust the process even when the beginning was uncomfortable. They did not expect ease. They expected effort. That expectation made them strong. When something felt bitter, they did not panic. They asked what work was needed. This lesson reminds us that discomfort is not always a warning to stop. Sometimes it is an invitation to grow. Sometimes it is a sign that something valuable is being prepared inside you. Just like the acorn, what feels useless at first may only be asking for time, care, and patience to reveal its true worth. Patience is not optional, it is built in. You cannot rush an acorn. If you try, it stays bitter and inedible. Medieval people learned this through experience, not theory. Acorns demanded patience whether a person liked it or not. There was no shortcut that could remove the bitterness instantly. The acorn decided the pace, not the person. First, the shell had to be removed carefully. Then, the acorn had to be soaked, often many times, with the water changed again and again. After that, it needed time to dry before it could finally be roasted slowly over steady heat. Every step required waiting. Skipping any part ruined the result. This taught medieval people a powerful lesson. Some things cannot be hurried, no matter how badly you want the outcome. Wanting something faster does not make it arrive sooner. Rushing only creates disappointment. Patience was not seen as weakness. It was seen as intelligence. When people live without patience, they fight reality. Medieval life did not allow that. Food, weather, seasons, and the body all moved at their own speed. Roasting acorns trained the mind to accept this truth calmly. It taught people to work with time instead of against it. This lesson goes far beyond food. In life, many results need time to mature. Skills take time to develop. Trust takes time to build. Healing takes time to settle. Trying to force these things often makes them worse. Medieval people learned to stay steady during waiting, instead of becoming restless or angry. Patience also taught emotional control. While waiting for acorns to become edible, there was nothing exciting happening. No reward yet, just quiet effort and trust in the process. This trained people to remain calm even when progress was invisible. Roasting acorns shows that patience is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right things and then allowing time to finish the work. Medieval people understood this deeply. They did not expect immediate comfort. They expected progress to come slowly and honestly. This lesson reminds us that impatience often comes from fear. Fear that time is being wasted. Fear that nothing will change. Medieval people replaced that fear with understanding. They trusted that if the process was respected, the result would arrive. Patience, in their world, was not a choice. It was built into survival itself. And that is why it shaped strong, steady people who could wait without losing themselves. Humility is a survival skill. Acorns were never a proud food. No one showed them off. No one celebrated them. Medieval people ate acorns when better options were gone, when grain failed, when animals were scarce, when comfort was no longer available, and instead of resisting this, they accepted it. This acceptance built humility. Medieval people understood that survival mattered more than pride. They did not tie their self-worth to what they ate or how impressive their meals looked. Food was fuel, not identity. If acorns kept them alive, that was enough. Roasting acorns reminded them that nature does not care about ego. The body needs nourishment, whether the mind feels proud or embarrassed. This lesson quietly trained people to let go of unnecessary self-importance. When life became hard, they adapted instead of complaining. Humility made people flexible. A person who refuses simple food out of pride risks hunger. A person who accepts simplicity survives. Medieval people learned that dignity comes from endurance, not luxury. Eating acorns did not make them lesser. It made them capable. This lesson reached beyond food into daily life. When work was hard, they did the work. When resources were limited, they adjusted. They did not feel insulted by difficulty. They understood difficulty was part of being alive. Roasting acorns also taught gratitude without entitlement. There was no expectation of pleasure. There was appreciation for sustenance. This mindset protected medieval people from emotional collapse when comfort disappeared. They were not shocked by simplicity. They were prepared for it. In a world where survival depended on adaptability, humility became strength. It allowed people to bend instead of break. It allowed them to learn instead of resist. Roasting acorns reinforced this lesson again and again. Humility is often misunderstood as weakness. Medieval people knew better. They saw it as a tool for survival. When pride steps aside, learning begins. When ego quiets down, resilience grows. And that is why humility kept people alive when comfort could not. Slow food creates steady strength. Roasted acorns do not give fast energy. They do not rush through the body. They work slowly and quietly. Medieval people paid close attention to this. They noticed that after eating acorns, the body felt stable. There was no sudden burst, followed by weakness. Hunger stayed away longer. The body kept moving without complaint. This taught them something important. Not all strength comes from excitement. Some strength comes from steadiness. Foods that release energy slowly help the body work for long hours without burning out. Medieval life required this kind of strength. Fields had to be worked. Wood had to be carried. Days were long and demanding. Fast food was not useful to them. A quick surge of energy that disappears leaves the body tired and unfocused. Roasting acorns showed them the value of nourishment that supports endurance instead of speed. This made their bodies more reliable under pressure. This lesson also shaped the mind. Just like the body, the mind needs steady fuel. Constant stimulation creates restlessness. Calm nourishment creates focus. Medieval people lived without constant excitement, and because of that, their attention was deeper and more stable. Slow food encouraged slow thinking. People learned to pace themselves. They did not chase quick pleasure. They respected what kept them functional over time. This reduced exhaustion, both physical and emotional. Roasting acorns reminded them that strength does not have to announce itself. It does not need to feel dramatic. Real strength often feels quiet and dependable. It allows you to keep going when others collapse from rushing. This lesson matters because life is not a short race. It is a long journey. What supports you briefly is less valuable than what supports you consistently. Medieval people understood this through food, and it shaped how they worked, rested, and endured. Slow nourishment built steady people, and steady people survived where hurried ones did not. Repetition builds inner discipline. Preparing acorns is not exciting. The steps repeat again and again. Shelling, soaking, draining, drying, roasting. Nothing about the process feels new or entertaining. Medieval people did not escape this repetition. They lived inside it. This repetition trained the mind in a quiet way. When you repeat the same task daily, you either become frustrated or you become disciplined. Medieval life pushed people toward discipline because survival depended on it. Complaining did not change the work. Avoiding it only created hunger. Roasting acorns taught people how to stay present during boring tasks. There was no reward in the middle. The reward only came at the end. This built the ability to work without constant motivation. People learned to act because the work was necessary, not because it felt good. This kind of discipline created emotional stability. When someone can tolerate repetition, they are less controlled by mood. They do not need excitement to function. They can move forward, even when nothing feels inspiring. Repetition also removed impatience. When the same task appears every day, rushing becomes pointless. Medieval people learned to settle into the rhythm instead of fighting it. This made their efforts smoother and more effective. Roasting acorns showed that discipline is not loud or dramatic. It grows quietly through consistency. Every repeated action strengthened the ability to endure effort without resistance. This lesson shaped strong people. People who could handle repetition, could handle responsibility. They could be trusted with long tasks and difficult seasons. In a world that constantly seeks novelty, this lesson is easily forgotten. But medieval people knew the truth. Repetition is not punishment, it is training. And discipline built through repetition becomes strength that does not fade when motivation disappears. Time is cyclical, not urgent. Acorns do not appear whenever you want them. They fall in their own season. Medieval people understood this clearly. They did not demand food from the land on their schedule. They watched, waited, and prepared when the time was right. Roasting acorns made people aware that life moves in cycles. There is a time to gather, a time to prepare, and a time to use what has been stored. Medieval people lived with this understanding every day. When acorns were abundant, they worked hard to preserve them. When they were gone, they relied on what they had already prepared. This mindset removed panic. People who respect seasons do not rush unnecessarily. They do not fear delay because they understand timing. Medieval people did not see waiting as failure. They saw it as part of the design of life. Urgency often comes from fear. Fear that something will never return. Fear that time is running out. Roasting acorns taught the opposite lesson. If you prepare properly, there is no need to rush. What is meant to arrive will arrive again in its season. This lesson also taught responsibility. When people failed to prepare during abundance, scarcity felt harsh. When they prepared wisely, scarcity became manageable. Time rewarded foresight and punished neglect. Living by seasons created emotional balance. Medieval people were less anxious because they were not constantly chasing results. They worked when work was required and rested when rest was available. Roasting acorns reminds us that not everything should happen immediately. Some things need to wait. Some things are not ready yet. And forcing them early only creates bitterness. Understanding time as cycles, rather than emergencies, creates calm. It teaches trust, and it allows life to unfold without constant pressure. Gratitude comes from effort, not excess. When medieval people finally ate roasted acorns, there was no excitement. The taste was simple, warm, and filling. That simplicity taught them something important. Gratitude does not come from having more. It comes from knowing what it took to get what you have. Every acorn they ate reminded them of the work behind it. The gathering, the soaking, the waiting, the careful roasting. Because effort was involved, the food was respected. Nothing was taken lightly. Nothing was wasted. This created a different kind of gratitude. Not the loud kind that celebrates luxury, but the quiet kind that feels content. Medieval people did not expect food to impress them. They expected it to sustain them. That expectation protected them from constant dissatisfaction. When people eat without effort, they often want more and more. When people eat after effort, they are satisfied with less. Roasting acorns taught medieval people to appreciate enough rather than chase excess. This lesson shaped emotional strength. Gratitude built on effort reduces resentment. It prevents entitlement. People felt thankful because they understood the value of what they consumed. Gratitude also made people calmer. When you are grateful for simple things, life feels less threatening. You are less afraid of losing comfort because you know how to rebuild it. Roasting acorns reminds us that abundance alone does not create appreciation. Work does. And gratitude that grows from effort stays even when circumstances become difficult. Value is often hidden in plain sight. Acorns fall everywhere. They cover the ground beneath oak trees year after year. Most people step over them without a thought. Medieval people did not. They saw food where others saw nothing. They understood that usefulness is not always obvious. Roasting acorns trained the eye to notice quiet resources. Medieval people learned to look carefully at their surroundings instead of constantly searching for something new. What they needed was often already there, waiting for knowledge to unlock it. This lesson shaped how they approached life. They did not depend entirely on distant supplies or rare materials. They worked with what was close. This made them resilient. When trade failed or travel became dangerous, they were not helpless. Seeing value in plain things also reduced waste. Medieval people respected what the land offered. They did not ignore resources simply because they were common. They understood that abundance does not lose value just because it appears often. Roasting acorns also taught creativity. Turning something bitter and ignored into nourishment required thought and skill. This encouraged problem-solving instead of complaint. When conditions were difficult, people adapted instead of giving up. This lesson reminds us that modern life often blinds us to what is already available. We chase convenience while overlooking potential. Medieval people survived because they learned to see opportunity where others saw nothing. Value does not always announce itself. Sometimes it lies quietly at your feet, waiting for patience and understanding to bring it to life. Knowledge creates independence. Acorns did not require money, markets, or permission. They grew freely on trees that belonged to no one. The only thing needed was knowledge. Medieval people understood that knowing how to use what the land provides reduces fear and dependence. Roasting acorns gave people confidence. When you know how to turn something raw and bitter into food, uncertainty loses power over you. Hunger becomes manageable. Hard times feel less threatening. Knowledge replaced panic. This lesson extended beyond food. Medieval people valued skills because skills created security. A person who knew how to preserve food, repair tools, or work with the land was never truly helpless. Knowledge became a form of wealth that could not be taken away easily. Independence did not mean isolation. It meant stability. People could participate in society without fear of collapse if systems failed. Roasting acorns reminded them that survival did not begin in markets. It began in understanding. This knowledge was passed quietly from one generation to the next. There was no showmanship, no pride, just responsibility. Each generation protected the next by teaching them how to endure. Roasting acorns shows that freedom grows from understanding, not comfort. When you know how to meet your basic needs, life feels less fragile. And when life feels less fragile, fear no longer controls your decisions. Quiet strength is the most durable kind. There was nothing impressive about roasted acorns. No celebration followed their preparation. No one gathered to praise them. They were eaten quietly, often in difficult times, simply to keep going. Medieval people understood that real strength does not need to be loud. Roasting acorns built a kind of strength that did not rely on excitement or recognition. It trained people to endure without applause. They learned to keep moving even when no one was watching and nothing felt rewarding. This quiet strength showed itself during hardship. When winters were long and resources were low, people who had learned to live simply did not panic. They were already accustomed to restraint. They had practiced endurance in small daily ways. Loud power often fades quickly. It depends on attention, comfort, and control. Quiet strength grows slowly and stays. It is built through patience, discipline, and acceptance. Medieval people survived because their strength came from within, not from conditions around them. Roasting acorns taught people how to stand steady without drama, how to accept difficulty without losing dignity, how to continue without needing reassurance. This lesson matters because life does not always reward effort immediately. Sometimes all you have is the ability to endure. Quiet strength carries you through those moments. In the end, medieval survival was not about force or speed. It was about calm endurance. Roasting acorns was one of the many small practices that shaped people who could last when comfort disappeared and only resilience remained. Roasting acorns the medieval way was never just about food. It was about learning how to live when comfort was uncertain and effort was unavoidable. Each step shaped the body, but more importantly, it shaped the mind. It taught people to respect, process, accept waiting, and find value where others saw nothing. These lessons created people who were steady instead of reactive, patient instead of rushed, grateful instead of entitled. They did not depend on ease to feel secure. They depended on understanding. The world has changed, but these lessons have not lost their power. Life still tests patience. Discomfort still hides growth. Knowledge still creates independence. And quiet strength still outlasts loud power. Roasting acorns reminds us that resilience is not built in moments of comfort. It is built slowly, through small, honest effort repeated over time. Those who learn this do not fear hard seasons. They know how to endure them.